Hey, everybody. I'm Alan Thomas with Rethink Dieting, and I have got with me today one of my favorite people, Bob Harris, who's been a rethinker since late November last year. And he's got a pretty incredible story that we wanted to share with you today, and just to get a little perspective of it. So, Bob, tell everybody who you are, where you're from, a little bit about yourself.
You bet. I'm Bob Harris. I live in Athens, Georgia. I live in Athens, Georgia for the sixth time in my life. So I think Athens is home. And I've been here this time for about 21 years, which is just a little bit longer than Jocelyn and I have been married. So we're coming up on our 20th anniversary. And I've been associated with several different kinds of enterprises. University of Georgia is the flagship institution, and I worked with the university for several years, a number of years actually, and I actually had gone to school there. And then when I came back the last time from Missouri, I came to an institution called Christian College of Georgia, where I've been now for since 1989. Actually, I moved away once since I've been with Christian College. So that was one of the times. Stayed at the job. And I'm also a missionary, an international missionary out of another ministry that I operate. So I think I've made it clear. I'm a minister, and don't hold that against me. And I've had a lot of fried chicken, a lot of potato salad, a lot of strawberry shortcake, and a whole lot of peach pie. And I've got the pictures to prove it. So that's my story.
Hey, that's awesome. So, and Bob, you know, when you and I met, on a phone call in late November of last year. And, you know, when people think about rethink dieting, obviously they think about weight. And if you don't mind sharing, what did you weigh then?
Okay, when I called, I think Matt McWilliams had set up you to be on a broadcast. So knowing Matt, I listened to the broadcast and probably sent you an email, and you called me early November. And at that time, I was hovering between 265 and 70. So I had been above that, but I felt like, you know, I'd accomplished something by losing 5 pounds, but I'd put it back on. So let's say around 265 when we talked. And then we started, and I wrote it down what my weight was on the official day of making this commitment, and it was 262.2. That was my weight.
And how tall? You're 6'9", 7 feet, or
yeah, I'm 7'4", so they call me string bean. No, I'm 5. Thank you for giving me that opportunity. But no, I'm actually 5'11", and I've gotten to the age where I can't dunk the basketball anymore.
And no more Spud Webb. Okay, so I got you.
Exactly.
So it's and so you were in the obesity category, the morbid obesity category, approaching it right in that range. And when we talked,
you know what I hated about that. I had right after I talked to you, I go to pain management every month, and I probably may mention that a little bit later, but. I had looked on my chart because now you've got all these things you can interact with your physicians, and I have several physicians online through their portal. And that joker had put obese in my file. And then here I turn around and you use the O word.
Well,
it shocked me. It shocked me.
Well, you and I, you know, and it's no secret that we're Southerners, so we, you know, in our part of the world, it's looked at as normal sometimes, unfortunately. But you were in that category. You'd had several health scares. You'd had several things going on. You mind telling people how young you are?
Well, I'm past 50, although I know I look a lot like George O'Clooney, but people mistake me for him, but I'm actually older than him. George Clooney, not O'Clooney. You call me
There you
George
go.
O'Clooney. And I'm actually 69, Alan. And
Okay.
if we held this about 5 months later, I'd be 70.
Okay. And so, I talk to a lot of men and women, and I've talked to men and women who are 30 and 40 that believe that losing weight they're too old for it. And, 50, but oh my gosh, at 69 and working from home predominantly, it's impossible is what people say. And so, kind of give people a sense, of what it was like, before Rethink Dieting, and we'll talk about where you're at today. Well, you can go ahead and tell them. I mean, what'd you weigh this morning?
Oh, wait, 209.2 209.2 this morning. So that's like 63 pounds below what I started with the weight we just gave.
Okay. Okay. So over 50 pounds lost, and so you've come a long way. Obviously, going even lower. Now I went to the University of South Carolina, so it ends up being about 54. So we're good at
It'd be
math.
53 over in South Carolina, but see,
That's
we're
right.
closer to Stone Mountain in Athens, and things weigh a lot more over here.
I'm with you. I love that. I love your math. I love your math. That's it. So I had to throw the Gamecock and the Bulldog.
Yeah, thank you. Some people will get it.
That's right. That's right. But when give people a sense of what it was like. I mean, and we talk so much about weight, what it has to do with their health, and I know that's important. Golly, I want everybody to be healthy, but give people a sense of what it was costing you to be 263 pounds at age 69.
Well, for one thing, and you mentioned this a while ago, I just kind of had started to accept this is the way it is. That was one thing because I had it too in my mind that well maybe I'm too old, maybe this is just what age is going to bring and I'll live it out this way. Now, a problem with that was you knew something about life. What do you call it when you can live a certain length of time? About life expectancy. You knew something about that for people who were almost 70 and weighing 265 pounds. I didn't know that at my height. And you informed me some about that. You never scared me about anything. You just, although it did scare me to hear the word obese, but I had to face it sometime. You didn't say anything that was like scaring me into doing something about it, because honestly, Alan, before I saw you about the August before I saw you, my heart surgeon had said, let's look at how you lose weight. Now here I am, I got a PhD, I ain't stupid. My heart surgeon is very smart. Well, everybody knows that. Top heart surgeon in Atlanta. And he took out a magic marker and he said, now what causes weight? Intake and what keeps weight on? Sedentary lifestyle. He wrote that on a whiteboard. He said, now, is your intake pretty high? I said, well, yeah, it's pretty high and it lasts all day from when I wake up until right before I go to bed. That's a problem. And then he said, well, what's your activity like? And I said, well, I just don't feel like being active. And he said, well, of course you don't. You're 275 pounds or whatever I was. That's what he said. He said, you need to lose some weight. And see, it was the simple thing that astonished me. Obese, intake, exercise. Now, I'll talk a little bit about my past with exercise and with food, but the thing is that for me, when you ask that question just now, what was it like? The first thing that comes to mind, I lost my breath trying to tie my shoes. Leaning over to tie my shoes, I'd lose my breath and I'd sit up and I'd think, how long is this going to last? That I'm going to see, I'm asking myself the question, how long am I going to lose my breath tying my shoes? Because that's very uncomfortable. And then, it gets worse. I call Jocelyn. Do you mind tying my shoes? I don't feel like sitting down. That's what I'd say. Tie my shoes for me. I don't feel like sitting that way. And she would. But then it starts getting embarrassing. And then the clothes. That's what it was like. The clothes that got the biggest ones that I would allow myself to buy. Let's take, for example, a 46 waist pants. That's the biggest. I would not buy anything bigger than that because I can't be that big. And I'm still uncomfortable. And I can't wear my suits that I used to wear, especially after that pandemic. Now I've got these suits. I'm growing. I'm getting bigger. And what if I have to go back to church? What if I have to perform a funeral? What if somebody calls me to do a wedding? You know, what am I going to wear? Well, you put on a robe. I mean, that's the solution. That's why a lot of ministers wear robes, I think. So that's what it was like. It was like the daily stuff. But now I'm going to add into that too. I was not really getting my work done. I really was not getting my work done. Most of the work that I was doing, not in 2020, but up until 2020, involved going to meetings and having meals with ministers. Well, I mean, you're always going to a buffet because ministers love buffets, you know? So the only thing I could do there was just go back to the salad bar about 6 times because I wasn't eating the heavy stuff, you know? You play these tapes in your mind that kind of trick you because you don't want to face being obese, having to look at what you're eating and having to look at sitting around and not being active. Don't want to look at that.
Yeah, no, that's so true. And I mean, you think about all the ramifications all that has, you know, especially, you know, being in ministry and what you're, you know, being the example and all of those things that tie into that. But tell everybody, you know, what was it like? I mean, you've got an amazing marriage. You and Jocelyn have been married almost 20 years now, coming up on your anniversary. I mean, tell us what it was like, you know, how your obesity was affecting that. I mean, whatever you want to share there, and just what was Jocelyn saying about it? And because she doesn't struggle with obesity.
No, she doesn't. Now, I will say this, that she kind of has set an example for me. You know, Jocelyn's a little bit younger than me. And so she's got, you know, maybe she doesn't have like a hip that hurts or a knee that hurts or things that are good excuses. She doesn't have any excuses. So she started getting real active about 2.5, 3 years ago. And she started getting really active. And I'm talking about, I mean, in the morning, she gets up and hardly before I've had my coffee, she's walked 7 miles. She does that every day. So, I mean, she's trim. She looks great. She's always looked great. But I mean, now she looks really trim. And she likes her clothes and those kinds of things that relate to that. I don't even know what she weighs. It doesn't matter. But Jocelyn really adores me. And I adore her. You know, that's just the fact. We know that in our home. We have certain kinds of things that we have accepted and claimed with the commitment of marriage that we have, both of us having been married previously. Now, she didn't have as much experience in previous marriage as I did. That's why I'm so good at marriage, because I had 25 years experience in my first one. So I really know what to do, but more importantly, Alan, I know what not to do. So with all that experience, we've made commitments in our marriage that say, well, all kinds of things. There's certain things that we won't have in our house. There's certain places we won't go. There's certain kinds of people we won't associate with, and not to judge those people, but we just know, I mean, for example, we don't go out to bars. We like country music, country dancing, but we go when it's more of the dance and less of the bar, that kind of thing. So, well, I hadn't been in a while, but anyway, that's just kind of an example of what's important to us is shared values. Now, I never got any kind of impression from Jocelyn that she judged me for getting heavier and heavier. I did remember, though, because you asked me for a picture for this video, that about 3 or 4 years ago, we took her family on a tour, on a cruise, a Disney cruise. We like Disney a lot, and we took her family on a Disney cruise. The nephews, brother and sister-in-law, and her parents. They're from the West Coast, and I had a picture from that cruise where I saw myself with the family. And Alan, I just was astonished at how big I looked. I mean, I looked like I felt like in that picture, I was as big as the next three people sitting next to me, Jocelyn included. I just felt huge. I looked huge. And that really got my attention. But here's the point. She never said a word about it. She's never commented on my weight. I would have to say that the more uncomfortable I got, the more uncomfortable I was in an intimate relationship, honestly, and it has affected my. Part of it is energy. Part of it is just comfort. It never has been comfort about my body because she's never made anything judgmental about my body. But I know for some people that might happen. And I mean, I can't say that I wouldn't be judgmental about that. I don't know. But she's never has been that way or said anything. So we have a really good, there we are.
And there I am. Pop that up. Now that was one of the other rethinkers pointed out that was you, Mini Bob with the Minnie Mouse ears on before, and now you're Mini Bob now.
I'm getting Mini Bob. The other thing in that picture is that you don't need to show again, but in the plate that I got my hand in the first one, there's food, and then the second one, there's not.
That's right. So what was it like for you? I mean, here you are, Jocelyn's, is younger than you. I mean, what would run through your mind with the health stuff you had going on? And, you adore Jocelyn and Jocelyn adores you. I mean,
Great question.
What was that like?
Great question. It's the same thing that runs through any husband's mind who is committed to, protection and care of his wife. And that is, first of all, how long am I going to be here for this relationship to be who I am in this relationship? Now, if I ever bring that up, Jocelyn says, we have an agreement. You can't go before me. Now, that's her agreement, but I'm going to live to 107 anyway, so she's not going to have too much to worry about me being that much older. But the thing is, it goes through your mind about now, what would happen now, but it also goes through your mind about what's their life going to be like when you're gone, when I'm gone. What's her life going to be like when I'm not here? Well, I can't do anything about the date that is appointed for me to depart this earth. That's my belief. But I can do something about how healthy I am while I'm on this earth and how much I do to see that, at least for my part, I'm going to live as healthy and well and happy and joyous and free as I can, because those are the things I want to be for her. Sure. I want to be those for me, but I really want to be those for her. And that's the real benefit of a great marriage. You want to be everything you can be for the other person.
Sure. And also in the piece, I think you said something there that really hit me, that spoke to me. We think about, the day that's appointed for us, and, a lot of us believe that, but there's also, golly, if we don't take care of this vessel, and the other person is saddled with caring for you for 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, 5 years, when it was always a choice to get healthy and you didn't make that choice, if that makes sense. And so that's just, such a big thing that people forget. I mean, they just forget it. They think that we get to, we'll go out and we won't have to worry about it. They'll be fine. But
oh no. And I'd like to say something about that, because up till about 12 years ago, Jocelyn and I were in the gym every day. We were just very fit. We were muscular, and we had been that way for about 4 years. We worked out every day. We had personal trainer. I was at about 195 pounds, but I had a lot of muscle, and I can carry 195 pounds with muscle very good because I've grown up being a strong person. But what happened is we were that way. And then while I was in the gym, I discovered an injury in my neck. And I discovered it because I started losing strength in my arms, not muscle, but power. I lost it in my arms. And something could have happened that could have been an accident. Fortunately, it didn't. But I started getting examinations, and I went in for surgery. Here's my point. I had 2 surgeries within a year in my neck and back that were pretty significant. Any surgery is significant. I mean, it's significant if you get a tick removed, if it's on your body. But I had 2 significant surgeries for me, one of which was extremely excruciating for a week afterwards and had to be reversed. I was in bed basically for a year. Okay. I mean, I get up and walk around, but I was laying in bed watching the Fugitive movies. You know, Jocelyn she said she got so tired of hearing that Fugitive music, but she did not miss a minute taking care of me. And if I was ever afraid, which I got afraid a number of times, she was always there. She could sense when I was afraid, and she would be there. You know, she'd go in and do her thing. She worked. She was working for me some at the time. And she kept doing that. She kept things going that I could not keep going while I was incapacitated. But the point of that is I got a little glimpse of what it would be like if after I get well from that again, if I get sick again. Now, there's comfort in that because you need to know somebody's going to be there for you if you get sick, and everybody doesn't have that. But there's also some apprehension. What am I going to put this person through? You know, I need to live my best life and be as strong as I can be, so I don't put her through that. You know, whatever that is.
No sense in playing in traffic on I-75 if you don't need to. And as I say, so now so Bob, you came into the program. I guess it was around mid-November when you came into Rethink Dieting. I never told you one thing to eat. I never told you any exercises to do because I don't do that. And we worked on what I call the 98%. That part we all do. And then, you know, you've stepped into it. You've done everything that I asked, and all the things. And there's nothing crazy in there because it's not about doing crazy things, but it's about really seeing what's possible. And here you are. You know, roughly, what is it? We're 6 months from 7 months, whatever it's been at the mountain. And now you're coming up on age 70 and you've dropped over 50 pounds. You're clearly headed to what, if you don't mind telling everybody where you're headed to.
Right. I'm headed to 185. So that means I've got less than 25 pounds to go.
Less than 25 pounds. And what would you, and I always like doing this, what would you say to somebody that said, oh, that's impossible for you to hit that? You're 69 years old. Come on.
Oh,
you're 69. Yeah. You know, you're 69. What would you tell somebody that said there's no way you're hitting that, Bob?
Alan, I'm going to tell you something. One time in my life by a band director, I was called a quitter. One time he called me a quitter because I didn't want to play the trombone. I put the trombone back on the bus. I said, I ain't playing the trombone. I told you at the beginning I wanted to play the trumpet. He said, I never took you to be a quitter. Now, God is my witness. I have never quit anything else, ever. And I did drop out of kindergarten, but that was before. Okay. Right. So I don't quit. And if somebody tells me my PhD professor at Michigan State University sat at the conference table with 8 other people, professors. And I said, I'm leaving campus to go to Washington, D.C. to work. he didn't, my major professor didn't say anything. And my assistant major professor said, well, to him, are you going to say anything to Bob? He said, hell no, I'm not saying anything to him. If you leave campus, you don't finish your degree. Well, who was he saying that about? I don't quit. I showed him.
There you go.
But see, he knew I would. He knew me well enough after 3 years to know I was going to show him. So he challenged me, but without face to face, well, up front. Anyway, okay. So somebody says 25 pounds, you can't do that, and I would say I don't quit. I told you the story, and this is where I'm going. I don't know if you're going to ask me a question about this. I'll go ahead and say it. I grew up now I was husky as a kid. I was so embarrassed when we went to BC Moore dry goods store and my mother was going to buy me blue jeans. And the sales clerk says, I think he needs a husky. Oh my gosh. I felt like I had been slapped. So I was big as a kid, but I lost that. Once I started playing ball, I lost that. I worked on the waterfront. I was one of the real, strong guys on the waterfront at camp, and all that kind of thing. I did push-ups, vertical push-ups, not just regular ones. I mean, on my hands, standing up straight with my feet in the air. I walked on my hands everywhere. When I was in college, I walked on my hands across the major street in campus to the dining room just to show off for my buddies. I mean, I love walking on my hands, which I haven't been able to do. But I'm not, the point of that is I'm not a quitter. So I can get to 185, just set me another goal. That's what I'll say. Set me another dadgum goal,
That's right. So you're beating the odds. Here you are. You struggle with this obesity thing for over a decade. You've had heart issues, you've had all these things, and here you're on to 185. You're in your goal date is your anniversary, which will be your 20th
September 29th. Yeah.
September 29th. And so what's the future look like for you? What's the dream now? Where are you going with it?
Oh, that's a great question. I don't know if I got enough time to tell enough about that, but I'll tell you this. Okay, first of all, we've got a week in Savannah, which is where we got engaged, scheduled already. Even the pictures, everything. Jocelyn sets up everything. She's the best planner in the whole world. So she's planning everything. And so we got a week in Savannah. And sometime during that week will be our anniversary. I don't remember. But anyway, we'll have our anniversary. And at that point, I'll be 185. Now, I haven't talked with you about the major transformation. I've only talked with you about the body and a little bit about the heart. But see, what's happened to me since I started this journey is I have started doing things I have always wanted to do already. One of those is start in business for myself. See, wow. I have always been in ministry and education. I never had to run a business. I had to manage budgets, but it's different managing a budget if it's an institution than if it's a business. Because with an institution, the money just comes in. You build your budget based on what's going to come in. With a business, you got to bring money in. You know that. I mean, if you're not bringing money in, you don't have a business. But I've started actually earning money as a business person. And
now, let me ask you this. Now that's interesting. That's interesting. So you did that when you losing 50 pounds and on the way. And see, this is the thing I think a lot of people miss. It's always about, I hear people, men and women that I talk to that are struggling with 25, 50, 100, 200, 300 pounds. I think it's just health. Now, health is important. Don't get me wrong. But here you are. You're starting a business. You're being successful. I'm assuming you're being successful at it. Making money at it.
I'm still in the black.
There you go. That's awesome. So it always touches these other areas. So looking at it now, when you look through the lens of 185 pounds, and I know that's just a number. People say, "Oh, you shouldn't tell people." I never tell anybody what the way. I ask you what what excites you.
Yeah.
And so you picked 185, you're headed there. So what does that whole journey look like in there? I mean, I get excited about this stuff. I really do. It never gets old.
Well, and see, you would believe what it looks like, but I'll tell you a little bit about what it looks like, because right after I committed to losing weight and got through about a week and a half, and the scale went down. I said, "Dadgum, look at this. Maybe I can lose weight." I didn't believe it. I really didn't believe I could. But I sat down and I wrote out my goals. What do I want in my goals? One of those is I want to be sure that Jocelyn has an amount of money that can just be her free money. I wrote her a check. That's one of the first things I did. I wrote her a check for $250,000.
Wow. Good deal.
I put it right up there. I'm pointing to my bookshelf. I put it in my Bible, in a Bible up there. And I told her it's in the Bible. You don't need to look at it. It's good in 2 years. I mean, I'm putting the pressure on, Alan.
Wow.
Because I believed.
And you're 39 or 69, I forget. What was it?
I believed when I saw that this could actually happen to my body. And then I saw this could happen to my bank account. I need to have some data here. 250,000 is a pretty good bit of data, right? So I need to have that. Then I saw that could happen in my professional life, because my business work, getting excited about that and being optimistic about it and being hopeful and being successful has actually changed my ministry. Now my ministry is more hopeful. Things are happening in my ministry. And we all measure things by finance. I mean, just about everything. Even in my ministry, it's changing. The financial picture is changing, and that hasn't happened
for the positive. I take it.
Yes. It happened for the negative 10 years ago, but it hadn't happened for the positive in a long time.
Wow.
Why does it change? It's because I approach people in a different way, because I feel more confident in all of my life. And so if I call a board member, or I call a benefactor, or I call a prospective student, or I call somebody I want to close for a sale, I sound different. I told somebody the other day, they said, "We're looking for somebody to close some high ticket things. Are you good?" I said, "Am I good? I am damn good." Can I say that on here?
Yeah, you can say hey, listen, you can talk just like at church. That's perfect. So I love it. Well, if you were talking to somebody, to 69-year-old guy, 60-year-old guy or woman, or 50-year-old man, or 40-year-old person, man or woman, or 70 or 75.
Yeah.
And they were struggling with obesity, and they were thinking that, and I tell this, I said this the other day to somebody, that, the enemy, his greatest lie tells us is that, just do that tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so if somebody who's been putting it off, doing something about it, what would you say? I mean, and I don't think I've ever asked anybody that in one of these interviews. So anyway.
Well, I'll tell you what I'd say. I'd say, look, I got sober at age 40 and have been that way for 30 years. I said, "You think you could do that?" "Well, yeah, I mean, I can do that." Mm-hmm. "I lost 5 pounds in 2 weeks. You think you could do that?" Mm-hmm. "Well, I mean, if you can do it, I can do it." See, I've already given them something that they never imagined having to do. Most people don't imagine, having to get clean and sober at 40 years old. It's hard. It's hard. But it's not really hard when you realize it's the right thing to do. It was the right thing at the right time for me to do for my body. And see, when I talked with you, we talked about what do you need to do for your body? And when you start doing things for your body, you start doing things for your life. If you don't do things for your body, you don't have a life. And that's what I would tell somebody who said, "I'm 75 years old." And I'd say, "Well, fortunately, you've got more wisdom than me, but are you smart enough to know that you can lose 5 pounds? I mean, if somebody's 75 and obese and watching it, just start with 5 pounds. Take it a day at a time." That's how I got clean and sober, a day at a time. But after 30 years, I mean, I don't drink, I don't smoke dope, I don't use stuff, but I'm still clean and sober because I don't do what it is that caused me to get drunk. I don't eat what it caused. Well, 4th of July, I did eat a couple of things that caused me to get fat, but it's just 4th of July. Now, on a regular basis, I don't. But that's what I would tell them. I'd say, take it a day at a time and, find somebody to help you. That's what I mean, I will tell anybody, Alan, I needed somebody. Maybe I shouldn't say this, but it's true for me. I'd never made any progress in 10 years until I asked for help. And it was the same thing with getting clean and sober. I never made any progress till I asked for help. And why did I not ask for help? Pride. Too proud. Mm-hmm. Well, why are you proud? You're 285 pounds. See, they didn't call me obese when I wasn't proud, when I was not talking about being proud. Here I am proud. I'm proud. So I can't talk about my weight, but I got rid of that pride. I had to admit, yeah, Alan was right. I'm obese. I never did use that word morbid.
Well, and this is the thing too. I mean, you showed up, you were committed, and I would say this to anybody. I mean, Bob came in, and everybody's not right for Rethink Dieting. I don't profess to have it, but we talk about this a lot, but there's always a way for the committed. There's always a way. And it's been so much fun to watch you soar. It's been so much fun to see this happen, and in the journey that you've been on, and I just sit back and I say, where's the gold coming up? And it just shows up every day when I watch what you're doing, and so I'm super proud of you. And
mark my words, I'm going to be 107 years old. And I told my mother the other day, she's 96, and she said, I'm so proud of you. She said, I didn't want to tell you, but I was getting worried about your weight. That's my mother.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
So now she's happy. Well, she was happy anyway, but now she's happy. And I said, look, Jocelyn and I have an agreement. Neither one of us can die before the other one. I said, I want an agreement with you. I'm going to live to 107. So you have to live to 107. So I know I can do it. So now we're all both on the 107 track.
So, I love it. Well, listen, it's, and for anybody that's watching this, that is, that's not sure, what to do, I'll share this with y'all. There's on the bottom of the screen, the same training that Bob happened to see me perform live. You can see at rethinkdieting.com. And it's the 5-step strategy that I use to personally lose 129 pounds in 260 days. And really the journey, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a dietitian, a physical fitness expert, or anything with any degree related to weight and obesity. I'm just a guy that found a way through this wilderness, and that's what I do. My wife, Angie, and I work with men and women with that. And that's the same information that Bob saw. You can go to transformmyfuture.com/apply if you want to have an honest conversation about it to see if we're fit. And Bob, it's been so great to have you. I love it's a blast. I mean, this is fun, and seeing you in the Rethink Dieting community, and how you encourage everybody is just so much fun too. And just watching it and watching all the people that really have come alive, because listen, it's like dropping a pebble in a calm water. What you're doing with your weight. I think I told you this on the first call we have. There's a vein of gold running to you that nobody's going to get to see until you get this weight off.
Exactly.
And it's hard, and it's showing up, and I love it. And we'll do another one of these after you get back from Savannah. Because you'll be at 185. Now you may be up a pound or two from that, but you'll be close. So
I'll be close, and you won't recognize me.
Well, listen. Hey, you look like a different person already. But
don't that picture. She just took that yesterday. That really surprised me. That comparison picture. Oh, I got to send that into a magazine or something.
They're looking for models. Hey, they're looking for the most interesting guy in the world model, I believe. Still, so that's it.
So, what do they say? Stay hungry, my friend.
That's
That's
right.
the most interesting man in the world, right? He says, stay hungry, my friend. That means don't eat.
That's
That's
right.
not really true. That's not true. Bad message.
That's it. Well, Bob, great having you here. God bless, and thanks so much for being on today. And we'll see you guys. We'll look forward to seeing less of you guys tomorrow. Take care.